So I'm sitting with this client, smart woman. She's been running her business for, I think, 3 years. Good product, loyal customers. The thing is genuinely working. And I asked her a very, very casual question. What is your brand? She looks at me, takes a deep breath, and then she starts telling me about her business. She tells me what she sells. She tells me who her customers are. She tells me how long she has been operating. She tells me her prices are competitive and her quality is high and her team is small but dedicated. And when she finishes, she looks at me like she's answered the question perfectly. And I look at her and I say, that's your business. That's not your brand. And the look on her face, it was the look of someone who has just been told the very thing they thought was one thing is actually something entirely different. A little confused, a little defensive, and underneath both of those things, she was curious. And that curiosity is exactly what I want from you today. Because I want to tell you what I told her. Here's the truth. What she said is what almost every business owner, when asked about their brand, will say. And it makes sense. Nobody really ever sat us down and separated the two clearly. I mean, there are videos out there, but you get. Your business and your brand live together, operate together, grow together, but they are not the same thing. Confusing them is one of the very little mistakes we make as business owners. Here's the simplest way I know how to say it. Your business is what you do. Your brand is what people think about what you do. Your business is the product, the service, the operation, the revenue, the team, the delivery, everything that happens when you are working. Your brand is the perception that lives in the mind of every single person who has ever encountered you. Seen your logo, used your product, heard your name at a dinner, read your caption, watched your video, been served by your staff. Your business exists in reality. Your brand exists in people's head. Here's the thing about things that live in people's heads. They don't wait for you to build them. They form on their own with every interaction, every impression, every moment of contact. The only question is, are you building that perception deliberately or are you letting it form by accident? Let me give you a picture. The best one I know for explaining what the brand actually is. When you started your business, the day you registered, the day you sold your first thing, the day you told someone, I have a business now. On that day, something else was born alongside the business. A baby. Your brand. And like every baby, it arrived whether you were ready for it or not. It didn't ask for your permission. It didn't wait until you had a strategy. It showed up, small, undefined, full of potential, and completely dependent on what you would do next. Knowing who your brand is, its gender, its energy, its identity, is not about narrowing your market. It's about creating the kind of clarity that makes people feel something when they encounter you. And people who feel something, they remember you. They come back. They tell other people. People who feel nothing, they move on. Now, I want to talk about what it means to raise the baby. Because a brand in its early years, like a child in its early years, is in the most formative stage. The habits, the values, the personality traits that are set now will be very hard to change later. Think about the children you know who grew in homes where honesty was modeled consistently, where respect was demonstrated, not just demanded, where the family had a clear culture, the way they do things. Those children carry that into childhood. I mean, the Bible says, train a child in the way he should go, and when he grows, he is not going to depart from it. Now, think about a child who grew up in an inconsistent home. Some days warmth, some days chaos. Some days the rules applies, some days they don't. A child raised in that environment often spends years in adulthood trying to figure out who they actually are. Your brand is not different. When your social media says one thing and your customer experiences another, that is an inconsistent home. When your pricing says premium, but your packaging says budget, that is an inconsistent home. When your values are written on your website, but not practiced in your operations, that is an inconsistent home. And the brand that grows up in that environment, it grows up confused, and a confused brand confuses its customers, and confused customers don't buy. What you put into the raising of this brand is exactly what comes out of it. Not immediately, but over time, without question. Let's assume your baby has grown up, or you're already running your business. Your baby's a grown person. And I'm still using this person baby analogy because that's the best way I know how to explain what a brand is in a very simple way. When you meet people for the first time, you gather a lot of information in a very short window. You notice how they are dressed, you register their voice, their tone, the pace of how they speak, whether it's warm or cold. You feel their energy. Before they've even said much, you make judgments consciously or not. You decide whether you trust them or not. You decide whether you like them or not just from your first interaction. And that's the exact way your brand works. Every time someone encounters your brand for the first time or for the 100th time, they are doing the same assessment. And let me tell you or walk you through how this assessment is made or what it's comprised of, if that's a word. Number one, personality. Who your brand is. The consistent character traits that show up in every interaction. Your warmth, boldness, wit, seriousness, playfulness, authority, and the likes. A brand with no clear personality is like meeting someone and feeling nothing. Very easily forgettable. Number two, your voice. How your brand speaks. Not just the words, the rhythm, the tone, the formality, the sense of humor. Your voice is present in every caption, every email, every staff interaction. When your voice is inconsistent, people feel it, even when they can't name it. Appearance. Your brand looks. Logo, colors, typography, imagery, packaging, space, everything. Appearance is the first language your brand speaks before a single word is read or heard. What does your visual identity say in the 3 seconds before someone decides whether to keep looking? Appearance is like what you wear. People see that first. Then, feeling. What your brand makes people feel. People make most purchasing decisions based on feeling, and then we try to justify it with our logic. Does your brand make people feel confident, safe, excited, seen? The feeling your brand produces is not accidental. It is designed or it is neglected. Number 4, reputation. What people say about your brand when you are not in the room. That's reputation, yeah? You have the least direct control over that one, but the most indirect influence on it through every other component. The next is values. What your brand stands for and what it won't. This is demonstrated in what you show, like what you really stand for. You get what I'm saying? Every single one of these things exists in your brand right now, whether you design them or not. They do. Your brand already has a personality. Your brand already has a voice. Your brand already makes people feel something. The only question is, are those things what you would have chosen if you had been consciously doing it? A brand that is built has consistency across all 6. The personality matches the voice matches the appearance matches the feeling reinforces the values, and the reputation reflects all of it. A brand that just happens as fragments, moments of brilliance surrounded by moments of confusion, a logo that doesn't match the customer experience, a voice on Instagram that doesn't sound like the person who answers the phone, and the market picks up on all of this. Even when it can't articulate what's wrong, something slightly wrong. You've been to those places where you're like, there's something about it, I don't just know it. Yeah, that's it. And this brings me to the word I want to define very precisely, because it's one of the most misused words in business: branding. A lot of people think branding is the logo, colors. Some even think it's the printing that you put on walls and, signage and all those kind of things. That's not branding. That is just one output of branding, and a relatively small one. Branding is the process of deliberately ensuring that the right perception of your business is being built in the minds of the right people. Let me say that again because I want this to land. Branding is the deliberate management of perception. It is not a one-time event. It is not a project you complete and move on from. It is an ongoing discipline, as ongoing as customer service, as ongoing as sales, because perception is being formed constantly every single time. Every time a customer interacts with you, you are branding, basically. Whether you are designing it or not, you are branding. Every invoice, every time they interact with anything, your DMs, your pictures, they call you, that's branding. All of it is branding. All of it is building or eroding the perception you want in the market. Branding is not about making things look good. It's about making people think the right things, feel the right things, and ultimately do the right things, which is to choose you again and again over every other option. Let me come back to that client I started with, the one who told me about her business when I asked about her brand. By the end of our conversation, something had shifted for her. Not because I gave her a new logo or a new color, I actually didn't do that, but because she had, for the first time, separated two things she had always been treating as the same. She understood that her brand was this person, this entity that lived not in her office, but in the minds of our customers. And that this person had been growing up without a deliberate parent. She had a business she was proud of, but her brand had been raised by accident. And the moment she understood that distinction, she could see exactly what her work was. Not just the work of running the business, but the work of building the brand. Those are two different jobs, both necessary, both ongoing, and both yours. I want to tell you something about what happens when business owners take branding seriously, or branding seriously. When they take it consciously, deliberately, and work on it, something changes in how they move, not just in the market, but inside the business itself. When you know who your brand is, its personality, its voice, its values, decision making becomes easier. Not because the decisions get simpler, but because you have a filter. Does this decision fit who we are? Does this partnership match our brand values? Does this communication sound like us? Clarity about brand creates clarity about everything else. And something else happens in the market. When your brand is consistent, when it shows up in the same way across every touch point, when the person your customer met on Instagram is the same person they met when they open a package or call your number, trust is built. Sales close faster with a trusted brand. Prices hold higher with a trusted brand. Customers return more reliable with a trusted brand. And they bring their people. Not because your product is necessarily better than your competitors, but because your brand has made them feel something they don't get elsewhere. So you have no competitors. That feeling, built deliberately, maintained consistently, is what turns a business into something that lasts. Your brand is a baby, and one day, if you raise it right, it will be the most valuable thing your business owns. More valuable than your products, your premises, any single client relationship you have. Because a strong brand is what makes all of those other things possible to replace if they are lost. It is the thing that people are actually loyal to, even when they don't know why. So go meet your brand, introduce yourself properly, maybe for the first time, and ask what it needs, and then be the conscious parent it has been waiting for. Thank you.